Um, Today we'll be having our first speaker, the person of Dr. Kelechi. We'll be having our first speaker, the person of Dr. Kelechi. Dr. Kelechi is the founder of Dekemp, and he holds a double PhD in organic and polymer chemistry from KIT Germany and University of Bordeaux, France. He runs the Dekemp, a registered NGO, and he provides mentorship for coaching towards securing graduate scholarship and other relevant career growth. And he currently works as a research scientist at Procter& Gamble. So today we have the privilege of having him speak to us about the importance of mentorship in the early stages of bioscience career. So I'd like us to welcome Dr. Kelechi.
Hello guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
I think I have a problem with my video, but perhaps it's going to come off and on. Right. Good. So first let me start by saying thank you for your kind invitation. Um, I was actually quite impressed when I realized that one of your founders is my mentee, that's Dolapos. So we've come a very long way. And it's nice to see what he's doing. I think that's always the basis to be able to transfer what he has learned and see that you're celebrating your 40th anniversary. I couldn't even be more proud of what he has achieved together with others of the founders. So thank you once more, and of course keep doing that. Um, that's the way we have to keep going and keep growing. Okay. Someone says you can't hear me very well. Is it better now?
I think it's a bit better now.
Okay. In case at some point you can't hear me very well, let me know.
Okay.
So I'm going to be sharing my screen. I've just tried to, I hope that the conversation today will be more of a dialogue, not preaching. So please feel free to stop me at any time and you can ask your question. I would like to have a very engaging session with you guys. So let's start. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, let's try to put that in full screen. Okay. So I've been asked to talk about the importance of mentorship in early stages of a bioscience career. Like I said, I hope this is going to be an engaging session. You have quite a good number of people with experiences. So I'm also sure mine will not be like a standalone, right? I hope that we are going to be able to share and co-learn to get together in this session. So I'm a big fan of being very clear on why. Um, Before we get to anything, we need to first spend some time to understand why. In my opinion, if we don't have a why, it's very easy for us to get distracted, get discouraged, lose focus, not being aware of where we should be, where we could be, and so without a why, it's so difficult to even find the resilience or to even keep moving forward. Sometimes we just see ourselves doing things because other people are doing it, without really asking ourselves if we are going to the same place with these people. Imagine you are traveling, and you get to a park, you want to go by bus, you are headed to Lagos, but you know very well that you could go to a park where they are loading more than just Lagos, right? If you just follow the crowd, there's a high probability that you could end up in a different destination. It doesn't mean everyone there is not a traveler. Of course, they are all traveling, but they are not traveling to your destination. Even if you were to enter the bus that is headed to Lagos, you are not going to the same house like the other people that are your co-passengers. There's so much that we have to realize the importance of recognizing what it means to be unique, and really being aware of why we want to do something. So if you're choosing a career, like in the bioscience area, it's good to really take some time and understand why you want to pursue a career in that area. What is your motivation? Why do you want to do this? Okay, so we always need to start with our why. And sometimes we feel that it's not important to know why because we think we would figure out things along the way. But again, it doesn't help us to build a resilience, right? You don't want to be today you want to pursue a career in bioscience, tomorrow you want to pursue a career in data analytics, tomorrow the next day you want to pursue a career in finance, the next day you want to do, I mean, that doesn't work. If you want to pursue a career, please be clear on what your why is, okay? So for those in the meeting, like I said, I'll be asking a lot of questions. I hope that we are going to have an engaging session. Let me know your why. Why are you pursuing or why do you want to pursue a career in this field? Anybody, please feel free to raise your hand, moderator. Help me to manage the inbox. Maybe some people could drop their reasons in the chat. I want to know your why. What is your why? I'm waiting. I can't see your chat. So in case somebody is dropping something in the chat, I will not be able to see it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat right now. So I can go first. So for me, I would say it's ties back to the idea of making life better for people. And that can either pivot in the sense of like medicine, and it can also pivot in the sense of like biotech, making people's life better generally. So that's just my why for me.
Okay, your why is making life better for people. Okay. Who else wants to go next?
Okay, I see someone in the chat box. Moinat says she would like to make significant contribution to the neurogenerative research.
She would like to make what?
Significant contributions to neurogenerative research.
Okay. Who else? What is your why? Do I have another response in the chat?
We're waiting on people.
Okay.
Okay, we have a contribution from Martin. I would like to contribute to understand the medicinal nature of medicinal natural product application, especially those used in traditional medicine.
Okay.
Chioma says she would like to tap into the entrepreneurial opportunities in bioscience.
Okay.
Shakir, he would love to improve informed dosing decisions for pregnant and breastfeeding mothers to help and inspire others as well.
Okay. So what are any example of people that don't have a why yet or haven't thought about a why at the moment? Could you also indicate in the chat? If you have never thought about a why, could you also indicate in the chat?
Yeah, Abdulafi says he tends to have fun while also contributing to effective and safe use of drugs. Joseph says he is interested in identify potential therapeutic targets for neurodegenerative diseases. And Deborah believes a science in career in bioscience would enable our contribute to combating infectious disease in Africa by understanding host immunity pathogen interaction.
Okay. That's very good. And I think all of you have given, again, your why is your driver. Nobody can decide what is the right why or the wrong why. But the question for me is always when it comes to testing your resilience, is your why enough to provide you that inertia to keep going or not? Right? So when you are thinking about what your why is, you need to always ask yourself, if it becomes too hard, what am I going to do? If it becomes too difficult, what am I going to do? Is this important enough that I want to pursue it for the rest of my life? Or at least contribute or spend a significant amount of my time on it? And that's what helps to drive that clarity. Um, Sometimes it's always easier, I would say, to share some of the things I would say today from where I'm standing. But that doesn't take away the fact that we all are a work in progress. Okay. The fact that you have a why today and you have defined it doesn't mean that it cannot evolve. But what I'm trying to actually communicate this moment is that there should be something that is driving you, right? There should be something that is causing or forcing you to do something. And that is what you look out to. That's what you get up in the morning and look at. That's what is driving your reason for living and existence. Some people might want to drive this connected to your purpose, right? Why are you on earth? Why are you actually here? Right. In this case, I've narrowed it down to the bioscience because that's the focus of this conversation this evening. Okay. So now that we have talked about why, I think you've gotten a bit about my background. I always like starting my presentations again, trying to provide my journey. And I always say that most times this journey, it's only this way because I can write about it as something that happened after, right? What I mean in essence is I did not figure out my life every step of the way in that presence. So it's just like you are telling someone a story of something that has happened in the past. It might, if you are not careful in the way you narrate that story, it might come out like, oh, from the time that you were born, you already knew what you wanted to do, you already figured it out, you already knew bam, 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 and now you're here. But we all know that that's not how life is. And in my case, it was even not the same, right? It was completely being unaware of many things and then getting myself and really trying to figure out what I'm going to do along the way. Which brings us again back to the focus of this call this evening, the importance of mentorship, right? How important that someone that is ahead is providing you guidance along the way. That is so, so important. That is so, it can truly, truly make a difference. That there is someone that has gone before you that is providing you guidance on what you should do or what you could do, right? Using their experience as a way to let you know what they had done in the past so that you can figure out for yourself how to approach it differently, right? So I did my first degree in Nigeria, industrial chemistry, graduated in 2011, served, as you can see there, in 2012. And I started applying to scholarships much earlier. Now, I started in my fourth year, and the only reason I started even thinking about scholarship is that my older brother was a scholar at that point, right? He had gotten his scholarship when I was in my fourth year, and he was demonstrating to me what is possible, right? So I was not just thinking about, oh, I'm going to graduate. I knew I wanted to go to grad school abroad, but then there's an example of someone that has happened in his life, and that made a lot of difference. He's definitely my mentor. When I was much younger, the fact that he got 9 A's in his WAEC was something I looked forward. I said, this is possible. Someone has done it. I can look forward to what is possible because I have an example, right? When I went to university in Futo, I was looking out for people that he was mentoring when he was the senior in school. And I could see, like, try to understand from them, how was he living? What was his life like? Because it was a good example. So the point here is mentorship for me came at a very early age. And in my opinion, it truly, truly made a lot of difference, right? The fact that I could apply to scholarship that early was because my older brother had gotten a scholarship. He could provide me those guidance. He had demonstrated what is possible, right? So I started applying much earlier, applied for 3 years before getting the scholarship in 2013. Then with that scholarship, I did a double master's in Germany and France. And after that, I got a scholarship also for my PhD, completed that in 2019. Since then, started working in Procter and Gamble. Now, the point of this conversation again today is more on what we have done in the side of Dekemp. So I founded Dekemp in 2019, about a month before joining P&G. And I feel like this has been a tremendous difference, right, in the lives of so many people. I've given you the example of Dolapo, and you can see like how much effort he has put together with the other founders to be able to have this organization running, right? That's the power of mentorship. That's what he could see as an example. Then he could also translate that into what is happening today. The book you are seeing here, Till We All Win, Dolapo played a very critical role in how this book looks like, right? He's actually the designer of this cover. I mean, for me, writing this book was a way to also communicate what that my philosophy of Till We All Win means. What does it mean to have to build a community that believes in in a community win? What does it mean to build a community that believes that they win by enabling others to win, right? And I know I was also talking to one of the organizers. Happy to share the link that you should get this book. I strongly recommend you guys to get the book as part of your community if you want to co-share the reading, etc. But it's something that would help you again to connect some of those, in my opinion, key points of what is needed to build the mindset that helps you to be part of such a community that you are and being able to create value for that community. Okay? So mentorship, if we think about the word itself and look at the definition, right, it says is the guidance provided by a mentor, especially an experienced person in a company or educational institution, right? Um, you look at that, it see that it has to do with guidance. Of course, this one could pick an example that is experienced person in a company, but it could be experienced person in something else. What I've also found that is perhaps worth mentioning here is some people feel that they need only one mentor, right? I have a mentor, I don't need another mentor. No, you can have mentors on different aspects, right? I'm not experienced on everything, right? I have my own mentors. I have mentors for career. I have mentors for um, 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 volunteering. I have a mentor. So you can have a mentor for different needs, right? And it's someone that normally you are looking up to, right? Someone whose life is inspiring you. So if you say you are in the field, in this particular field, in the bioscience, you want to pursue a career in this area, you are looking for mentors that are already in that area that could help tell you, provide you information, guidance on what you should be doing now. They know that if you start early as an undergraduate to start preparing for certain trainings, you become more competitive when you graduate. So the fact that information alone, there are people, some of my mentees come to me, and they are looking for something that I just know the person they should talk to, right? That level of connection, that level of information, like you can basically, with the help of a mentor, leap over many obstacles, right? It could just be like, talk to this person, and that makes all the difference. You could spend years trying to get that same contact, right? So it's about guidance, right? It's about guidance, in my opinion. But that guidance needs to be seeked. Like you need to seek for that guidance with a clear understanding of what it means to you, so that you do not also what abuse that privilege or abuse. For me, I always see mentorship as a relationship. It's not a relationship that the mentee takes, but it's a relationship that both of them should benefit. A mentorship should build both people, right? As a mentee, it doesn't mean you don't have what you can offer. Oh, because he's the one giving me guidance, there's nothing else I can do. No, you have to spend the time to understand how you can be of value to your mentor. Okay. So, like I said, it's a relationship. It has to be a relationship. And that relationship, you could be learning something more in that area of your focus, but also be able to create value for your mentor, right? I have mentees that I know that I look up to help me manage a lot of things, right? And that makes a lot of difference because they are valuable. They are not, don't stop looking at it like, oh, this is my mentor, I am only here to receive. Think of how you could be valuable, right? Um, if you look at this full definition, you see, mentorship involves an experienced person known as a mentor, guiding and supporting a less experienced person, referred to as a mentee, in their personal and professional development. Mentorship aims to bridge the gap between academic learning and real world skills by setting specific goals and fostering growth. So, guidance, enabling you to do what? To grow, to foster growth, to grow faster, because they can give you information and links and opportunities, or create opportunities that you would have otherwise not even known that it exists in that field that you are trying to pursue, right? And one of or a couple of key traits for mentors will be they are knowledgeable, they are supportive, trustworthy, patient, good listener, empathetic, communicative, inspirational. It has to be someone that inspires you, that you want to be your mentor. A lot of people have come to me and they say, please, I want to be your mentee. I want to be your mentor. I've said, well, it's not that straightforward, right? For me, it's a lot of time and effort to do this. So how can you demonstrate to me that you are worthy of my time? Right? You don't really need to have somebody talking to you every day, every week for them to be your mentor. You can also have mentors based on books, right? There's someone that inspires you. Have you read their book? Have they written any materials online? You go and read those things. You go and you start getting involved with their. Do they have a profile online? You follow them online. You get involved to really get the best, because the fact that they are sharing their nuggets on LinkedIn, whatever platform they are using, those are things that you can actually learn from, right? So you will not say, well, they have not replied to my message on my DM. I'm not able to learn from them. So mentorship can also be from a distance, someone that inspires you just from the way that they have navigated their career. You feel like this is the kind of journey you want to take. You can go through their life. Most of them have books that have written. Those books can help you to understand what you should be doing now, right? Because they can share their own experience, or they have shared their own experience in those books. Okay. So, what is the importance of mentorship? Now, if you think about life, progress over time, it looks like a clear, straight line, right? Progress is directly proportional to time. So, as time moves, progress increases. But we know that this is not what life is, right? Life is about ups and downs, sometimes down, 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 down. And the ability to go through life, remember, what is your why? The why helps to give you the inertia. Who is helping you to navigate through this journey? The power of the place of your mentor, right? You are going down, but you have someone that says, I can see your potential. This is my story. I think most times when we share our story, we do not spend enough time to really talk about how difficult it was, what were our down times. You do not go online most times and see people talk about their failures. You only see their oh, I am happy to announce that I have won this. Have you seen people come to say, I'm happy to announce that I failed, I did not pass my professional exam, I did not? No, because those things are not the ones that people want to hear or they want to see. But in reality, our growth is in failure. The time where you are able to grow is when something did not go as planned. Then you can think about it differently. You can try to find a way to do it, to to approach the problem more from a deeper understanding, and that is where you grow, right? So the place of a mentor to help you navigate through this uncertainty, this, I would call it perturbation or fluctuation of life, makes a lot of difference. Okay, because in reality, life is ups and down, right? We do not get what we think we want to get. We do not get it when we think we want to get. Why should you continue? Right? So I cannot underestimate and even minimize the place of mentorship. But like I said, you can also have a mentorship from a distance. So you don't feel like the people that inspire you must talk to you before they become your mentor. You can still have them from a distance, being familiar with with how they have gone through their own, how they have addressed their own challenges. And that becomes an inspiration for you to also know that this is possible. Someone has done it before. Therefore, I can also do it. Or someone has not done it before, but yes, I believe I can do it because I now have learned from what they did. Okay. Um, and if you think about mentorship, the kind of, again, it's a relationship, but within the mentorship relationship, you have motivation, right? Someone that really motivates you, gives you, sees the potential that is not obvious to you. Advice, is very interested in your success and can provide you with direction. They can also coach you, support you, help you set your goal, right? Keep you accountable to get your goals delivered, provide training opportunities for you. So there's a lot that you can get from being in a mentorship relationship. And at the same time, like I said, it's important for you to always see yourself as someone that is bringing value to that relationship, right? Not just being the one that comes with a paper and pen and just take notes, but someone that can really anticipate what could be the need of your mentor and try to provide them that value. Okay. Um, so, like I said, you could have different types of mentorship. In Dekemp, as an example, I say we're a peer-to-peer mentorship. I do not believe that one person is a mentor, one person is a mentee. I believe that we are all mentees, we are all mentors. And each person has this opportunity to create value. And it is the value that you bring into that relationship. You become someone that enables others, right? And that is how we build such a very strong network and a very strong community, because everyone is put on their toes to be better, to be a better version of themselves, to keep being a work in progress, to keep inching forward. And in doing that, they become valuable, and that value is what they now bring in that relationship that we have as part of this community, right? You could also have, like I mentioned, distance or e-learning mentorship. That's the one I explained. There are some examples of speed mentoring or one-on-one mentoring, reverse mentoring, where you have a more experienced person getting, mentorship from a less experienced person in a certain area, but just to help that mentor to be able to assess certain things that might be missing their view just based on their experience. They could have some blind spots. Okay. I hope that I've been audible enough.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, good. So the point I'm trying to drive here is this. You have a lot of value to create to get out of a mentorship, but as a mentee, please be valuable, right? Don't just be a leech. Think about it. If you're a leech on anybody as a mentor, you would probably just suck the person dry, right? You should be able to bring something to that relationship, something that that person, your mentor, can be looking forward to, right? So that's how you need to differentiate yourself. You need to push yourself to be better, to know enough, not just to come and prove to your mentor that you know something, but anticipate what their need could be. Where could you be of value to them, right? Is there something that they are doing today that if you had been doing it for them, they could use that time to do other things because they are spending that time for you, right? They're interested in your growth. So how do you take the responsibility of making sure that you bring value to that relationship? Okay. So an example, like I said, Dekemp is for me a very good example of what it looks like to have a mentorship platform. And within Dekemp, I always, from the beginning, almost from the beginning, I was very clear that Dekemp is not a scholarship platform, right? It's not a scholarship group where people come and get information to get scholarship. There are many scholarship groups, and it was very clear to me that this is not what we want to build. Right? I was not interested in building a place where people come and get scholarship and leave, and then new people come get scholarship and leave. That's not what I was looking for. Right? I wanted a community of like-minded people, people willing to do the extra to become better, people willing to keep doing the extra to become better, people that believe that they are always a work in progress, right? And then people that believe that winning is not an isolation, that their winning can enable others to win. And then people that believe that when they get what they are looking for, they do not just disappear, but they use what they have gotten to help other people to get to where they want to get to, right? So to be able to enable this, we have to create a very, and again, this was not something that was done over 1 year. I mean, it took a lot of years for us to keep building. At the moment, we are 5 years, but we still see ourselves as at our beginning, right? We still see ourselves as evolving. There are things we don't know yet. There are things that will change. There are things we keep learning on. But we want to always remind ourselves that our focus, our mission, our vision is to be able to create an enabling environment where each person can strive, right? Based on the fact that they are getting all the support they need from that community, right? So within Dekemp, as an example, we have different level of organization. We have what we call accountability clusters, right? If you have up to 400 people plus, and this is very conservative, we have been very interested in not getting a lot of people that needed, but this number is already too big to manage in a group. So we have what we call accountability clusters. And these accountability clusters made up between 10 to 15 mentees or campites, as we call ourselves. They have a leader, right? This leader changes every week. Their new leader is assigned. Every 3 to 4 clusters have a cluster coordinator that manages the activities across those clusters. And it is within this cluster that people get that relationship and close interaction. So tasks could be given at a level of clusters and people will do it within their cluster. But the goal is to be able to, again, foster that relationship and working closely with each other. And you can see we have different levels of groups within the community, like research hubs, focusing on different levels of tackling different challenges in our community, from health to agri to education, etc. We have the social media group. We have Grammarly in this today for all our writing. We have a paid account to help us make sure that our contents are properly done. You could go there, review your SOP, etc. And we also have groups that focus on international exams. Again, these are members coming together because they are preparing a certain exam, and this has truly made a lot of difference in many people's life, right? So at the end of the day, this is a community of like-minded people working and believing in the ability to become better, right? And that with the right guidance, with the right information, they can be what? They can be better. Okay. And of course, we have, again, getting scholarship to us is part of what we get. It's something that comes along this journey, but we keep going, right? After the scholarship, what next? So for us, it's end to end. Recently, like 2-3 weeks ago, my first mentee now got a PhD, right? And this is someone that we started with in 2020, and now he has a PhD. And to me, looking back, is like, wow, this is the journey where we want to be. We want to be in a place where everyone is getting to where they want to get, and then keep creating value for the community. Okay. And so for us, at the end of the day, our mentorship is about bringing people together, creating an enabling community, right? And for us to create an enabling community, each person, think about it. If you are in a team, right, the most important person in the team is the weakest person in the team. Think about it. If you are in a team, the most important person is the weakest person. Because if you're supposed to do something, that's the person that will do it last. So if you were supposed to run a race, like a relay, your biggest threat is the slowest person in that group. So how do we become better that we are not the slowest person? So we are not interested to build a community where 5 people are exceptionally good and 2 people are not. We believe everyone has the potential to become better in what they want to be. Remember the importance of why. So it's not like everybody has to become something. They have to become what they want to be, but they can become better in what they want to be. And our goal is to help them become that. We believe by becoming that, they bring the diversity and the different ways of doing things that we need in such a community. So we do not want everyone to become one thing. We want everyone to become their thing, right? And in becoming that their thing, they can be able to do or bring that value as part of the community. So we kind of encourage people to keep growing, keep learning, right? We believe in process over results. We believe that it is the process that does what's better the results. So we believe failure enables success. So when we fail, again, remember your why. Why will you keep going forward? If you have been applying for scholarships many years and you are not getting it, what is going to make you to keep going forward? If your why is not clearly defined, you probably give up, right? If your why was trying to get scholarship like everyone else is getting it, you probably give up. So being in such a community, thinking about mentorship from this, I would call it broad perspective, has helped us to be clear, right? Where do we want to be till we all win? This is what we have committed to, right? And that is the vision. That is what is keeping us together to help us keep doing what? Being a work in progress and enabling each other, okay? So we can keep in touch for sure. You have my LinkedIn handle there. For those interested in the Till We All Win book, you can get it directly from Roving Heights Bookshop in Lagos. I think they're also in Abuja. They can also deliver across Nigeria. But depending on where you are located, we have some copies with my mentees across the country. So we could also make some arrangement to have the book shipped to different places. For those that are not in Nigeria, you can also get the book directly on Amazon. Depending on your country, you can directly type the name of the title with the name of the book title with my name, and you should be able to see it on Amazon. Okay. So, like I said, I'm happy to take your input, feedback, contributions, and questions. Thank you very much.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So, so we have gotten to ask questions. I was going through the chat earlier. There was a question. So, would you like me to read the question out?
Yes, please go ahead.
Oh,
And
okay.
people
Yes.
should also unmute if they want to ask
Okay.
them.
Okay. Perfect. So everyone can unmute if they want to, and you can also leave your questions in the chat box, and I would go through the chat box. So thank you very much again. I've been able to pick up a few things. First is the importance of why, having a reason why you decide you need a mentor. So there was a question in the chat box. Someone asked about how does the speed mentorship work? So I think that was on one of the slides. So if you could probably like touch a bit more on it to give clarity.
So speed mentorship, if I understood it correctly, or the way that I see it is, you might go to an event where people are assigned almost instantly, like what is your interest, and you have people that are in that area of similar interest, and you just, or at least let's not say to an event, let's put it this way, it's basically a kind of mentorship that is set to achieve a certain goal within a very short time, right? Almost like speed dating. Like you think of speed dating, you go to a place, you are given 5 minutes to talk with someone, and then you move to someone else. And then at the end, you might find what is your interest, somebody that you could be interested in to continue further dating. If I think about it from a mentorship point of view, it could be really like very short time, whether it's 1 minute, it's 5 minutes, 1 hour, 1 week, 2 weeks, really designed to achieve a certain goal, right? And sometimes you have like almost like a body that is helping to organize that, let's put it that way, or facilitate or manage, that you are going to be accounting to help understand that somebody needs to get a certain guidance over a short period of time. Then but you always have like this facilitator, right, that is helping to do that. So that could really be a designed example of speed mentoring.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much, sir, for the clarification. So would anyone have other questions? You can raise your hand and unmute and ask the questions. And you can also leave them in the chat box too. So while we're waiting for questions, so I have a question in mind. So what I was thinking was, in a way where you could have, let's say, hypothetically now, like an undergrad, you have a professor in school who does like a really cool research, but you want to work with the person because of their research and like, or like they do like whatever like they're interested in, but then they like the personality of the person doesn't really sit well with you. But like the person is the only person you can actually learn from, or you don't like vibe with their person. So how do you like handle situations like that?
So are you asking like someone you are trying to reach out to get an information, or someone that is already your supervisor?
No, someone you're looking to mentor you, not a supervisor now. So let's say like someone like you feel like, oh, this person is like on a good trajectory and I would like to be with this person. I would like to be like this person. But the person doesn't have like the best personality, or like they have like career-wise, like they are very good. So how do you navigate the situation of trying to learn from them career-wise and not pulling into like that negative personality of theirs?
If you think about it, one of my teachers always told me that if you don't like a teacher, you can't like their subject, right? If someone is teaching you and you don't like them for any reason, whether it's how they talk, how they walk, how proud they are, or whatever, you would likely not enjoy their subject. So for me, if if someone is inspiring you, in fact, I would not even advise you to look at someone from a point of picking what seems to be interested to you and then ignoring the others. If they're already your supervisors, maybe you don't have a choice. But if it's someone that you are trying to have a relationship, remember I said mentorship is a relationship, right? It's difficult for you to
Yes.
really have an honest relationship if there is something about the person that puts you off, right? So I don't know whether I want to get close to someone that I do not like to be with. I could learn from them from a distance then for what is interesting to me, but I would not make the effort to try to be closer to them. Except if getting closer to them again would address whatever things that I didn't like about them, right? But you need to think about it from that direction, that this is a relationship. Do you want to get close to someone that you don't want to be close to simply because you want to get something from them? Which to me, I would see it more like that is being, what's the word for it? That's being predatory, right? Or almost like,
Parasitical.
yeah.
I said parasitical.
Yeah, because then you are like, oh, I'm going to pick what I like, and I don't like you, but I'll pick what I like from you, and I'm coming to you because this is what I want to get from you. See, that's already too one-sided and predatory or parasitic, and that's not healthy, right? It's not the way that I would think of mentorship, especially if you want to build a close mentorship.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. So we also have another question in the chat box. So thank you very much, Dr. Kelechi, for the wonderful piece. So the question is, how do you identify that a mentorship with someone isn't working? That is the first one. So a backup is, additionally, how do you also identify and resolve a conflict of mentorship? So the first one is, how do you identify a mentorship with someone isn't working?
I'm not sure
And
I got the question. How do you identify if a relationship isn't working?
if a mentorship with someone isn't working, like how do you identify that?
Um, I think we need to be clear on what is the mentorship supposed to deliver, right? So I give you an example. Say you have a mentor, an academic mentor, and you guys have set, you have set a goal for the year that you are going to apply to, or no, let's say you are going to get two different qualifications or certifications within the next 6 months, right? That's your aligned goal. And then you do not deliver it. You have 1,000 reasons why it was not done, right? As a mentor, I think I'll feel disappointed. I would feel you are not being accountable, or you are not being serious. So, or you could also have it the other way around, that you're a mentee, um, and you have a certain level of meeting or regular meet up with your mentor, but it's always pushed, it's never happening, and then you never get the time to follow up, and you just feel like, okay, this person is really not providing me the guidance that I'm looking for, right? So I think when something is broken, it's obvious. It's always important to try to know why. Is it because the timing is not working for him or her? Could you change it? How much can you be flexible? Could you change the format, that instead of having it as a call, that it could actually be WhatsApp messages or drop voice notes when there are chance, or whatever way that could be a format that could work, you can explore that. But if someone tells me that, how would you know that something is not working? I think when something is not achieving a goal, right? If we set a goal and we are not able to achieve it, then I know something is not working. But then if something is not working, the next question is, what are you going to do about it? Will you find an option of how to revive it because it's important, or because you think there's an opportunity there? Or will you find that maybe me and this person don't get along anymore for whatever reason it is? And then you decide that this is not something for you to continue to put your effort on, right?
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. So because of time, we would be moving on to the next segment. So thank you very much, sir, for the time. Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation, and thank you very much for speaking with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for your kind attention. You have a wonderful event ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Wow, it's been an amazing session so far, and I'm sure that we can all attest to the fact that we've been enlightened, and I'm sure that our notes are filled up by now. Can we just react in the chat box so that we can show our excitement as we move on to the next thing that we have for us today? So we'll be having our guest speaker, our fourth guest speaker, come up now. And she's going to be our last guest speaker for today, and it's been an amazing ride so far. So very quickly, I would like to introduce to us Mbichi. I'm so sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. And Mbichi is a doctoral researcher at VA University, Brussels, and Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. She's currently working on a research project to address consumer needs that hinder consumption of legumes. Wambui is also the founder and host of Farm to Table podcast KE, and she'll be taking us through the topic career success stories and building a strong portfolio. So can we just welcome our guest speaker in the chat box? Can we welcome her? She's so excited to be here, and we are also equally excited to receive her tonight. So over to you, Mbichi, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wambui. I know it's a bit difficult to pronounce. Wambui Mbichi from Kenya. And I am really happy to be giving this talk today. I would like to give a few disclaimers before I begin. It's really late in Nairobi right now. We are 2 hours ahead of Nigeria, West African time. So I will try to keep my talk as fast as possible. And also, disclaimer number 2 is that I am traveling, and so there might be a bit of noise and network problems on my end. So please bear with me in case of any noise, but please put in the chat in case you don't hear something or if something is not clear, and I will be happy to answer. And in case I drop, please let me know, and I will follow up with that on that. Okay, so again, it's really an honor for me to be here today and giving this talk. And the theme of my talk is career success and building a strong portfolio. So I would like to start by giving a bit of an introduction. And my introduction is going to be a story, and it's going to be the story of my career and life, I guess. So I always like to tell people that I was a picky eater as a child, and I'm sure my parents, especially my mom, would agree. And so being a picky eater, I hated food, all sorts of food I didn't eat. And yeah, it drove my parents crazy. But then when I was 9, we moved from an urban area that we lived in, and we moved to a bit of a rural area. And then I was confronted with the fact that there were children who didn't have food. And that for me, it changed a lot for me because one, I started to appreciate the fact that I had food. And also it made me realize that we were not living in kind of a perfect utopia world. As you know, as a child, it's life-shattering to learn things like that. And so in my very young mind then, it really planted the seed of what I would like to do with my career, and it was something to do with food. And so as a child, I don't know if any of you know this, but if you're interested in something as a child, you sort of amass as much knowledge about that thing as you can. And so I did that. So I started to read a lot about plants, and I could be able to recite the botanical name of, all kinds of plants, all kinds of animals. And I really just started to hoard knowledge in the agriculture space, but I didn't really know then what I wanted to do. I just knew that that's what caught my attention. And so fast forward to high school, as I think our generation, and I don't want to assume that we are all in the same generation, but as millennials, agriculture is not an attractive career choice for anybody. And so even in high school, we were quite a big class, but we only had about 10 students in the agriculture class. And I was in the class, and I really felt that I belonged in that class. And it was an important thing for me to do. And then fast forward to university, when I went to the University of Nairobi, again, I found myself doing a Bachelor's of Science in Horticulture, which again, very small group, because agriculture is not, it's not cool, or was not. Maybe we're trying to change that. And then, yeah, as I went on my journey, I kept on falling back to agriculture and, food systems and everything. And then at that stage, sorry, I got distracted because someone posted in the chat. I would just like to request the moderator to maybe help me out with that. Yeah, so anyway, at that stage, it also became important for me to now start defining what I wanted to do with my career, not just, it wasn't enough to just know that I wanted to be in the field of agriculture, but I needed to understand exactly how did I fit in. And so the way that I did that was through internships. And I did my first internship in a horticultural production company. And I enjoyed the learning experience, but also it made me realize that that's not where I fit in the production stage of agriculture. And so the next internship that I took, I worked in a government agency that works in regulation when it comes to, agricultural produce and horticultural produce regulation. And there I really was in my element, and I was able to learn a lot, and I enjoyed working there. And so as I kept on going, I kept on gathering information about where did I really fit in and where did I enjoy working, because that's also an important, thing that we sometimes ignore in the pursuit of money and, survival. And then shortly after that, I was able to also work in research. And that's where I really came alive, because I am quite a curious person. And in research, you really just get to do the things that you're curious about. It's kind of cool. You just get money to stay curious. So in research, I really came alive. And also in the regulatory and government and legal side, I also quite enjoyed that. And so that has been the trajectory of my career for me. I want to assume that we are all still early career academics in biosciences. And so it's as much finding what you like to do and finding yourself and where you fit in the career, as much as it is, growing and building. So then after my work in research, then I went on to graduate school and did my master's, and then finally I'm doing my PhD. So this story is just meant to give you a bit of an insight into what my career has been, and perhaps also encourage you as an early and young career scientist to give yourself room to discover where you fit in. That is also quite an important part of career success and building your portfolio, because you wouldn't know until you did something about it. And one way that I was able to do it was through internships. Now, let's move on to talk about career success. I would say career success is defined very differently for each one of us, I think. It's important, as the previous speaker said, to define your why. And here for the why, I'm going to replace that with what does success look like to you? What is career success to you? Because for some people, it's money. And let's not lie that money is not good. We all, want money. We need money to survive. But career success sometimes doesn't always look the same for everybody. In an ideal world, it would include money, passion, work-life balance, joy, working in the place that you're passionate about. But often it's hard for you to have all of those things in one place. And so I think you need to define what career success is for you and what are your, in a hierarchical kind of order. Is it money first, then the rest of the stuff? Because then you can be able to, for example, in the biosciences field and in sciences in general, it's a known fact that people that go on to work in industry, they earn more. However, there are some shortfalls when it comes to working in industry. There are some other difficulties. So it would be important for you to know that that's what you're in it for. And I mean, I don't want to shame anyone if your career success is defined as money, but I think that it should be more. It should be something else, something bigger than money. Perhaps impact, wanting to make an impact, because then that can help you to also avoid the pitfalls of, ethical pitfalls that may come around if your only concern is money. So, and in academia as well, it might be that your career success is getting a tenured position at a university. Maybe for those kinds of, for whatever it is that you look up to and see as successful, you need to define that for yourself. So having that definition allows you to stay on your path. And as I said, really take your time to, first of all, find where you fit in before you can now decide what success is. Because I feel like these steps, if you miss a previous step, then it really puts you in a position to, have later on have issues where you find yourself not being in a place where you're passionate and all those kinds of things. So define what career success is for yourself and go from there. So then let's move on to a portfolio and how do you create one as an academic and also just in general in the biosciences field. So a portfolio, if you were to define a portfolio, is really a detailed look into your career. So that should showcase your achievements, your skills, and your potential. And you showcase this not only to get a job. For example, if you're applying for a job, it could also be maybe you're applying for a scholarship or a grant for research funding, or just in general, because, for example, now we are fortunate enough to be living in the social media times. And so one can easily say that a LinkedIn profile is your portfolio because you get to showcase your skills and, your achievements and everything. And if anybody is interested in your profile, they can easily see your LinkedIn and contact you. So that's one example of a portfolio. So what are the key components of a portfolio? So one is research output. So for example, if you're published, if you have some publications, that would be a great place to show off those kinds of publications. conferences that you've attended, perhaps, and made presentations, and also any collaborative projects that you've participated in. And again, I would really like to break this down for early career people and researchers, because it is quite intimidating to be being told that your portfolio needs to have all of your publications and all of that, when perhaps you're just thinking about joining grad school now. So you definitely don't have any publications. I say any person with the right intentions knows that, for example, if you're an undergraduate student, but you're interested in the biosciences, they're not expecting you to have 5 publications in Nature. So I would say really showcase whatever it is that you're doing, showcase that in your portfolio. Don't feel like what you've done is not enough, because again, you need to remember that this is a career and you grow as you go. So if you're still in the beginning stages, just showcase what you do. For example, in undergraduate, so for example, as an undergraduate, you might have volunteered in some, I would like to give you an example here of something that happens in Kenyan universities. Sometimes we have high school students or primary school students come to the universities to sort of get a feel of what life is like in university. And so perhaps you're an undergraduate student who volunteers to, speak to them, because at any one point you could be higher than somebody. So it's important for you to showcase that. If that's something that you volunteer for, showcase that in your portfolio, and it would put you ahead. So my point here is, don't feel intimidated and compare yourself to perhaps later, and more experienced researchers as an early career researcher. So another thing to showcase in your portfolio is teaching and mentoring. Again, here I would like to give an example. As an early career scientist, I know somebody who set up a program to teach undergraduate students and master students data analysis skills in R. So that's something that you can do and mentor and teach people. If you have a skill that other people don't have, you can take advantage of you being one step ahead of someone else to mentor and teach, and that would really be something to showcase in your portfolio. Leadership and service is something else that you can showcase. Again, with the example of just teaching, volunteering. I don't know if you guys have any student leadership positions in your universities. That is also something else that would stand out. So basically, you need to be as an early career researcher, you need to be quite proactive in seeking those opportunities so that you can be able to have something to showcase on your portfolio. And then finally, something else is grants and funding that you have achieved. So now I would like to move on to what are some strategies to build a strong portfolio. And one is to start early. Start early and define your goals. As I said earlier, decide what success looks like for you in your career as a researcher, and define your goals. E.g., is your goal to showcase your portfolio to get research funds and grants? If yes, then you can be able to tailor your portfolio to show the donors and the funding organizations why you would be the best steward of their grant money. If you're looking for industry positions, again, I think here you need to really showcase your abilities to work in those kinds of environments. If you're looking for tenure positions, whatever it is that your goal is, you need to define it and be able to tailor your portfolio to that. So number 2, I would say a good strategy is to specialize in your field. And this calls once again for be very intentional. Like I gave you the example of my how I handled that was by taking internships. And so this specialization allows you to understand where you really fit in. And this, I would also like to put a caveat here, because sometimes for you to be able to specialize in something, you need to try a bit more. So open-mindedness is also very important. You need to try out different things in order for you to decide where it is you fit in, and also to be able to make the right decision on where you want to specialize. For example, as the previous speaker was asking your whys, I saw that majority of you already know where you want to be. For example, in drug discovery for immunization and all of that stuff. So that's good. You're able to specialize. But also I would like to say it's important to stay open-minded and, keep an eye out for what else might catch your eye, even as you specialize. Number 3 is share your portfolio. I would like to repeat what I said about social media. Social media is such a powerful tool for sharing your portfolio, either on LinkedIn or on Twitter, or all social media platforms are key places to share your portfolio, because you might have the most beautiful portfolio, but if you don't share it, then nobody's going to be able to reach out and to know what your skills are and to, offer you the opportunities that you probably deserve. And then again, I would say stay updated on current events and trends in your field. So currently we have a lot of talk of AI and how it can be able to basically do everything. I think that very soon AI might replace everything. So it's really important to stay updated on, the trends that are going on. And even as a researcher, how can AI help you to be perhaps more productive, or, shorten the duration of time where you do something. So stay updated with current events and trends in your field in order to be able to update your portfolio and therefore make it as strong as possible. So I think that's all that I have to say about portfolios. I would be happy to answer any questions that would come up later on. I just feel that it wouldn't be right for me to end my session without sharing some tips that have helped me in my career. And number 1 is what we've been talking about from the previous speaker, is mentors. I cannot overstate how important mentors have been for me in my career. Because as the previous speaker said, there's a lot that you don't know, and especially in research. And your mentor, oftentimes you leave a conversation with a mentor feeling like your mind is blown, because they have so much to share, a wealth of information. And I'm really happy that the organizers of this event saw it fit to have a whole session on mentorship, because it's really, really key. So I would say seek out mentorships and, be on the lookout for mentorships and find a way to find the right mentors for you. And I would like to quote something from a book by, I think her name is Cheryl Lee Sandberg. And she says that a mentor, you don't always have to go and ask somebody to be your mentor. So a mentorship is not the kind of relationship where, for example, you ask somebody to be your girlfriend. It's really more of the value that you get from a person. Somebody can very easily be mentoring you without them knowing that they're mentoring you. Of course, it's important to make sure that you find somebody that has the ability to actually help you out and is a valuable mentor. But there are a lot of people that mentor you without necessarily having the label of a mentor. So for example, some of your lecturers, they mentor you every day when they give you courses. And so take advantage of those very covert kind of mentorships. And also, it's always good to also have those very well-defined mentors, because for those ones, you get more value from them, because even if you're having a tough time with something, that's who you would speak to. That's who would inform you of what opportunities are coming up. So I really cannot overstate the importance of mentorship. So the next one I would say is networking and collaboration. And again, with networking, it's really important to also be intentional about networking. It feels very intimidating also, networking, because when you hear about networking, it's something that it seems really far-fetched, and especially as an early career scientist, you feel like you don't really have much to add, so you feel like you cannot network. But I would say, again, lean on social media as a networking tool. LinkedIn, for example, reach out to people who you admire. And the thing that I say about networking is also, if you never ask, then the answer will always be no. So make sure that you're putting yourself out there and you're speaking to whoever it is that you need to speak to. Networking, again, you can attend conferences. Nowadays, we are very lucky because we have online. You don't have to physically go to a place. But yeah, networking and seek collaborations. I would say something else is find work-life balance. It sounds very ironic, especially as a PhD student. It's a foreign concept, work-life balance. But there's nothing fun about burnout. You burn out very easily if you're not taking care of yourself, taking care of your mental health. So find anchors in your life, because again, with research and it's a very difficult field. It has quite a lot of challenges. So I would say find balance. Do your best to find balance, whether that's with your family, with your friends. Do some fun activities, but take care of your mental health and your work-life balance, because if you don't have those, then you can't really be able to focus on building a successful career. And then finally, I would like to say putting yourself out there. And this very much also is in line with what I said about networking, but put yourself out there. I don't know how many women and girls we have in this group. Maybe you can show me by putting an emoji in the comment section, in the chat, sorry. Okay. So this, I don't know whether the guys struggle with this, but for the girls, I know that this is something that's common for us, is we are really unable to put ourselves out there. We sort of shy away from those kinds of places where we need to put ourselves out there. And, you're skilled, the answer, that is something that you would be able to do, but you just don't go for it. So I would say, put yourself out there, whatever it is, leadership, when the opportunities come, I challenge you to really put yourself out there, you know? And also for the guys, I don't want to discriminate and assume that the men are just good at putting themselves out there. But it's really important to put yourself out there. And I would just like to repeat what I said. If you never ask, the answer will always be no. But if you ask, sometimes the answer might be yes. Okay. And then finally, I would like to close by sharing challenges that I have faced in my career and how I've been able to deal with them. And the first one is imposter syndrome. When you deal with experts all the time, for example, with professors and, you know, senior academics, it's very easy to feel like you don't belong and like you don't have anything of value to contribute. But I would like to also share a quote here. The evidence that you belong is that you're there. The fact that you're there is evidence enough that that's where you belong. So I would like you to remember that every time you feel like you're an imposter in those situations, in those meetings. So remind yourself that you do belong there by virtue of the fact that you're there. And yeah, so for imposter syndrome, it's really, it's something that a lot of researchers struggle with as well. So it would also be helpful to share with, you know, your peers and your colleagues. But just always remember that if you are in a room, it's because you belong there. Remind yourself that every time you feel imposter syndrome. Another challenge would be the lack of, or, you know, the little resources that are dedicated to research and sciences, especially in the African continent. If I can speak for the African continent, we do have a challenge with the amount of resources that are dedicated to science and research. And so for that, I would say how I deal with that is by applying to grants still, because maybe our governments do not dedicate as much resources to research, but there are always grants from, you know, all over the world. So put that in there, and also just by advocating for more resources to be allocated whenever you have a chance to contribute in those kinds of fields. I try as much as possible to advocate for, you know, more resources to be allocated, you know, whatever small way that I can. I try to do it. And so, yeah, that brings me to the end of my talk. I hope that you've been able to learn a thing or two. And yes, I would like to open up the floor to questions.
Thank you so much, Wambui. That was such an inspiring session. I think listening to your story was really inspiring, and it clearly reflects that career is actually a journey. And thank you for highlighting those strong points on what we could do as early career researchers to build a strong portfolio and equally like journey through this career thing. Thank you so much once again. So I'm sure that we would have quite a number of questions. So please, can we just raise our hands if we'd like to unmute our mics and ask Wambui questions directly, or you could write them in the chat box. She's very open to answering our questions. Okay, so while we wait, okay, we already have one question. And the question says that the part about imposter syndrome, what if you are really struggling while others are doing fine? I guess the person wants to know, the question is from Omnia Sati, and the person wants to know what we could do about imposter syndrome.
So for your question, I would say, what is it that you're really struggling with? Is it that perhaps your experiments are failing? It depends on what it is that you're struggling with. Is it that you're not able to get opportunities, for example, scholarships? What exactly is it that you're struggling with? Is it I see you answered and you said grad school. Is it that grad school is really difficult? So how I like to deal with difficult things is break them down, because sometimes you find that maybe the problem is that your experiments are failing, right? You have one very specific problem, is that your experiments are not going well. What you tend to do is to feel like the whole grad school experience is horrible, whereas it's only one thing that's going wrong. Perhaps you have great friends, perhaps everything else is going well, but you're struggling with your experiments at this moment. So being able to break down exactly what it is that you're struggling with is very helpful, because then if for example we say that it's your experiments that are failing, then that's when you can go to your supervisor and your professor and speak to them about your failing experiment, and they can be able to let you know, or your mentors, or whoever it is that can be able to offer you help. I would say that's one thing to do. Another one is really that I like to do is take a step back. It can be an evening, it can be an afternoon where you just leave and go for a walk and listen to music or do whatever it is that you like to do to unwind, and give yourself a chance to step away from the problem and look at it with new eyes. So those are just some examples, and I would be happy to give you a more specific answer, Omnia, if you can just share what it is that you're struggling with in regards to grad school. And also feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Maybe it's a personal thing that you wouldn't like to share with everyone. So yeah, I'm sure the organizers would be able to share my LinkedIn with you. But all the best.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ruth, for your answer. I am sure that the answer was very helpful to the person who asked the question. So I don't know if there are any other questions that would like to ask.
I see a hand up from Victory.
Okay. Okay, please go ahead, Victory, to ask your question.
Hi, Wambui, and thank you very much for the exciting section. So what I was going to ask, there was the part where you talked about shyness. So would you say you have like any practical tips how you guys like dealing with shyness as a bioscientist? Because I've had the situation where some folks be like they would like go into the part of science where like they don't actually have to like interact with people and just like do their own thing. But I don't exactly know if that part exists, quote unquote. So would you say you have like practical tips you could or advice you could give an extremely shy person who is interested in science, but they have difficulty connecting with people and communicating their science?
I would say social media, because in social media you can very well be an anonymous person. So if you would like to share your work with other scientists, social media is a place to start. Also, I think we shouldn't use shyness to keep us from great opportunities, because at any one point, I don't think there's anyone who won't need to speak in public and speak to others. And so again, there are so many resources nowadays for example, public speaking, building your confidence. Just go online and you will find those kinds of resources, because sometimes I feel like we say that we're shy, and it keeps us from so many opportunities. So yeah, I would say, yeah, first start on social media. Perhaps it would may help you feel more comfortable if you are also dealing with people that you had already interacted with before on social media. And then, yeah, also just utilize the internet to find, resources on building your confidence and public speaking and those kinds of things. That would be my response.
Okay, thank you so much. Victory, I hope your question has been answered.
Yeah, thank you.
And I hope that you are on a pathway to being courageous right now. So I don't know if we have any other questions. I don't know if there are any other questions. I can't see any hands raised or any question in the chat box. Okay, so I have a question. So you mentioned starting early as being one important strategy to building a strong portfolio. So I would like to ask for, let's say, undergraduates who maybe have identified a particular research interest, maybe not research interest, but something that really sparks their curiosity. But around them, they can't really see maybe an organization to intern with or where to get better experience and like build up on this interest that they have. What would you suggest that they do in this situation? Maybe undergraduates from low and middle income countries. What would you suggest that they could do?
So as I shared, for me, what I did was looking for internships and volunteers. And if you're in undergraduate, I feel like one resource that is really underutilized is your lecturers. So you can speak to your lecturers to see, especially if it's like a research area that you're interested in. Perhaps they have a project in that area that they're working on and that they can allow you to maybe be an intern or just a volunteer, or even just speak to master students, anybody that's above you that's in that field. Just try to stay in contact in those fields in any way that you can. And I understand that sometimes in our continent, unfortunately in the African continent, it's not always that easy to find the opportunities that we're looking for. But I would say reach out to your university professors or even the people that are in grad school in your field. Sometimes they might have some valuable insights for you, and they might allow you to shadow them in the lab for, whatever it is that they're doing. So that those are some tips that I would share.
Okay, thank you so much for those answers. Okay, so thank you so much for your session. It was so insightful and I think it was very practical, something that I'm sure most of us would be able to relate with. Thank you for your time and thank you for sharing with us on how to build a strong portfolio and even strategies that we can do this better. Thank you. I am sure that if we have more questions, we'll do well to reach out to you on LinkedIn or on your social media platform. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So right now we'll be moving to, okay, can we just appreciate Ruth in the comment, in the chat box? Can we appreciate her? Can we thank her for her time and for sharing so much value with us tonight? Can we just appreciate her in the chat box? Okay, so right now we'll be moving to a video session and it promises to be very interesting as we are going to see our members showcase their labs, like the labs they are working in. And I would encourage us to stay tuned and enjoy the video as we watch it. Thank you very much. So I guess we can have the video now.
Hello, my name is Ruth Oboye. I am a second-year doctoral student at the Department of Medicinal Chemistry, University of Connecticut. I became part of Biospherea in 2021 because I wanted to find members, people of like minds in this science journey. I wanted to develop my science communication skills as well as expose my mind to other scientific challenges in Africa. Over here, her research focuses on cellular signaling pathways and how their dysfunction can lead to various cancers. By leveraging medicinal chemistry, organic synthesis, and molecular biology techniques, we aim to develop and refine therapeutic agents that can one day be lead compounds in the treatment of cancer. I am grateful for the incredible support of my principal investigator and also my lab mate, the postdoctoral fellow in my lab, as well as the graduate student and undergraduate research. They make research fun and enjoyable. Not enjoyable because it's still work though. Working in a team that values ethical research and that support each other, that shares knowledge, it's so valuable. It's an opportunity that I wouldn't pass over. So thank you for watching, and hooray, Biospherea is for, yes, to many years of growth, many years of exploration and inspiring scientific mind.
My name is Regan Bello, a PhD student at Tumor Immunology Lab at KIML Balbofa Medical Research Institute in Brisbane, Australia. I'm a member of Biospherea, formerly known as Science Cafe, which I joined in 2021 to connect with fellow scientists, fellow students, and learn from different fields. At the Tumor Immunology Lab, what we do is we focus on understanding how the immune response to tumors can be enhanced to inhibit tumor growth, with the ultimate goal of applying these insights to cancer treatment and prevention. One of our recent breakthroughs is development of supercharged immune cells that could potentially improve glioblastoma survival. That is the brain cancer, fighting the deadly brain cancer and preventing its recurrence. I want to extend my gratitude to my supervisor, Professor Rajiv Khanna, and the entire lab team, including Dr. Vijay, Pauline, and Tanya, for their support in making this short video possible. Happy anniversary, Biospherea. Thank you.
Hello and welcome. My name is Shamsuddin Muhammad Musa. I'm a medical laboratory scientist and the Northwest Regional Manager for Arab International Laboratory and Diagnostics Center. This is our Kano branch, and it's one of the 3 branches of the laboratory in Nigeria. Arab International Laboratory is a tertiary diagnostics laboratory which deals with routine and specialized tests, which range from hematology tests, chemical pathology tests, microbiology, and molecular diagnostics. Today, I'll briefly walk you through the laboratory to tell you some of the things we do in the laboratory. Here, we have divided our department into 2, with the hematology and microbiology in one segment and the chemistry and immunology in another segment. In hematology, we perform an array of tests, laboratory tests, which include complete blood counts, coagulation studies, hemoglobin electrophoresis, blood group serology, and so on. While in microbiology, a lot of tests are carried out which mainly involve antimicrobial studies and drug sensitivity. Here in the immunology laboratory, we perform an array of tests that are Arab International Laboratory, as we perform a lot of immunological tests using various specialized techniques such as alpha, and FIA as enzyme-linked fluorescence assay or fluorescence immunoassay, ELISA, enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay, and so many other techniques for detection of various diseases, which include cancers, markers, assays, check for hormones, fertility tests, and so on and so forth. We basically, in the laboratory, you have to ensure that there's quality in every aspect, in every stage of what you do in the laboratory. However, at the end of the day, the satisfaction you gain from knowing that you have impacted someone's life positively is a driving force, and it keeps us wanting to repeat that process all over again.
Oh, that was cool getting to see that. So we see our members and what they do. So we also have some videos to also show, and the videos are primarily testimonials from members of Biospherea so far. So the videos can come up now.
Hello everyone, my name is Esther Jisilova Adepoju. I joined Biospherea year 2021 and the journey has really been a beautiful one. I've had the opportunity to volunteer as a chaplain. I've also had the opportunity to share the little that I know amongst people who are well knowledgeable than I am.
Hello everyone, my name is Yusuf Utman Sharif. I'm a laboratory scientist from Sierra Leone. I joined Biosphere Africa in 2023. Since joining, I've had the opportunity to network with scientists. It's been a valuable experience in sharing and gaining knowledge from fellow community members.
Greetings everyone, my name is Hanyadu Mazanya from Botswana. I joined Biospherea in 2022, and at that time I was preparing to start my master's degree. So I'll say that's one of the best choices that I did for myself at the time, because I have had to attend sessions whereby people who were already doing PhDs and master's degree will come into the community and talk about their experiences and some of the skills that one might need for postgraduate studies.
Hello everyone, my name is Augusta and I joined Biospherea in 2021. Since joining the community, I have been able to develop and improve my scientific communication skills thanks to the weekly webinars that we hold. I've also been inspired by peers in the community across the world, and I am now pursuing a master's degree in public health. The community also provides an avenue to discuss with peers on relevant topics and review up-to-date journals on various topics within the world of science and technology.
Okay, so that was very interesting to watch. Can we just give a round of applause in the chat box? That was amazing to watch. Just as we have been notified, right about now, we would have our poster presentation for members of this community, and it's going to be very enlightening equally. So kindly stay tuned. So Obed, Brian, please, you could come up for your poster presentation. Thank you.
My topic here is on biodegradation of polystyrene and polypropylene by Bacillus subtilis. So using the influence of temperature and growth media as using the influence of temperature and growth media, these are the two parameters I'll be looking at in my poster presentation. So I have 4 objectives there, which the first objective to measure the weight loss of the polystyrene and polypropylene plastic, to analyze the chemical structures using FTIR spectroscopy, So to assess the ultrasound crystallinity using the SRD, although in this particular poster, I did not include that because of space. That's for the XRD. And the fourth objective is to evaluate the changes via surface morphology using the SEM. So the aim of this work is to investigate the biodegradation of polystyrene and polypropylene by Bacillus subtilis under the influence of varying environmental conditions. So we all know plastic waste accounts for a significant environmental challenge. So only about 9% of these plastics are being recycled, while the others accumulate in the environment, causing environmental challenges. So certain microorganisms like bacteria and fungi have been studied to see their influence on degrading most of this plastic in the environment. So what we'll be looking at here is the use of bacteria, Bacillus subtilis, for this biodegradation. So in our methodology, we used two nutrient media, that's the broth and the agar, as our nutrient source for the bacteria. So our temperature conditions were varied at 15, 25, and 35 degrees for 56 days. That's 8 weeks. So after this, we took our average weight loss of this plastic waste. So if you look at the first figure there, for the average, that's the average weight loss of the polystyrene and polypropylene in nutrient broth media. That's the first figure. We can observe that after 60 days, that's the 8 weeks, week 8, because we did 56 days, that's 8 weeks. So
Okay. I am sure that Obed will join us soon. I think Blue is really showing him a lot. Okay. I can see that Obed is back. I don't know if you can hear us or if you can hear me.
okay, I can hear you guys now, sorry.
Okay. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so the first figure, we can observe that the weight loss of both the polypropylene and the polystyrene was increasing with increasing temperature and time. So if you look at the figure, you can see that the weight loss is fluctuating. That's because what we did in this particular study of varying temperature and time was that we took the average weight loss of each week. So the average weight loss of each of the plastic was taken for each of the week, and we can see that the highest weight loss was observed at 35. Sorry, I think that's the temperature figures are a bit low, so you guys can't see it. But at 5 degrees, the weight loss of polystyrene, the highest weight loss of polystyrene was observed, which is around the 8th week at 56 days. And the lowest weight loss was observed at 15 degrees. So in the figure 2, the second figure there, that's for the weight loss in nutrient agar, you can also see that the higher weight loss was observed at 25 degrees, while the lowest weight loss was observed at around 15 degrees also. So this shows that the higher the temperature, the higher the weight loss of both polymers. So this is likely due to the increase in activity of the bacteria at higher temperature. So for the FTIR figure there, which is the second figure, we can observe that. So we can see the controls, the control for the polystyrene, which is the first one. So in broth at 25 degrees, you can see changes in the structural changes in structures in the FTIR of this polystyrene at 25 degrees. So that arrow there with a curve shows that there is an OH group that is being increased, that the intensity of the OH group is being increased. And this is likely due to the enzymatic activity of this broth, because the enzyme that we likely link this activity to is a hydrolase enzyme, which contains an OH group. So because of the increase in this OH group intensity there, we can link this activity to an hydrolase enzyme. Although this is a preliminary study, we are still also trying to see how we can isolate the enzyme responsible for this biodegradation. And also, we can also observe that OH peak at the polypropylene agar at 25 degrees also. So we can see that at 25 degrees, for the PS is at 35 degrees in broth, while for the polypropylene is at 25 degrees in agar. So you can see that there is an enzymatic activity acting on this plastic with the increase in this OH peak. So we can see in the surface morphology, you can see how these plastics are being broken down by this bacteria that we use. So there is, if you look at the images, we can see some rough porous surfaces. So this is due to the activity of the bacteria on these polymers that we use. So for the polypropylene, we can see that it has more cracks and rough surfaces. So we can link this to the fact that the polypropylene is more susceptible to the attack of the bacteria than the polystyrene. So from what we concluded in this research, we can observe that optimal degradation was observed at 35 degrees. So at 35 degrees, in the average percentage weight loss, we observed that at 35 degrees, the weight loss of this plastic was more significant than at lower temperatures like 15 and 25. So the media also play a role in improving the biodegradability of this plastic. So if we look at the structural changes, we can see in agar there is more changes in the structural formula of this plastic. In the FTIR, we can see in agar, that's for polypropylene, there is a more significant change in the FTIR compared to in broth. The intensity in agar is more higher than in broth. So we can say that the bacteria performs better in agar media than in broth. So our future work, we are trying to look at the efficiency or the efficacy of other microbial strain and see how we can isolate the enzymes. Can you guys hear me? Sorry.
Yes, we can. You can go ahead.
Okay.
We can.
So we can see how we can isolate. We can see how we can isolate the enzyme that is responsible for this degradation. So the enzyme like I said earlier, the enzyme we've linked this to is a hydrolase enzyme because of the peak intensity of the OH group in the FTIR. So that's all for the poster presentation. And I'm very sorry for the delay because of my network.
Okay. Thank you so much, Obed, for that wonderful and enlightening presentation. So you already have questions.
Okay.
Abdulhafiz Akinloye is asking that how was the influence of water controlled to avoid IR interference? Okay, I
How
don't
was
know
the
if you got it.
influence of? I did not get that question really well. Sorry,
Okay, let me repeat it. How was the influence of water controlled to avoid IR interference?
Okay. We didn't really use, like, for sterilizing of the plastic, we did not really use water. We used absolute ethanol, and we also dried this plastic at 50 degree in oven to remove any moisture from it, so that to avoid the influence of water in to control the influence of water in order to avoid its interference with the air. So we tried to reduce as much moisture as possible in this plastic. So we dried them in oven at 40 to 50 degrees.
Okay, thank you. And you have another question from Abdulhafiz saying that were there subtle differences at the IR fingerprints region?
Okay, for the fingerprints region, if we're reading the IR spectrum, the fingerprints region don't really matter a lot. We focus more on the CH region, the double bond region, and triple bond region, because the fingerprints region will always be CH. So there won't be really any difference in the fingerprints region. What we'll focus mainly is the double bond, the single bonds, OH or OH region, and the triple bond region. Because even if we look at the fingerprints, because we are using the fingerprint will always be the same as the control of the plastic. I don't know if this answered that question.
Thank you very much. Abdulhafiz, I hope your questions have been answered. I don't know if you can just give a reaction. Okay, so while we wait for Abdulhafiz to react, you have another question from Ololade Gbadebo. She's asking, incubation was for 56 days. Did you study the growth curve of the bacteria to ascertain their viability over those many days?
Okay, we did not study the growth curve of the bacteria. And secondly, we didn't leave the bacteria for 56 days like that, because we did a test run. We left the bacteria for 1 month, and they all, like in agar, the agar dried up. So what we did was that after every 2 weeks, we always put in more, because our focus now is on the plastic and not the bacteria. We've already known that this bacteria will not last that long, most especially at 15 degrees. They will all die off. So after 2 weeks, we always put in more nutrient agar and or nutrient broth, and we insert 5 ml of our cultured bacteria. So that's why we took the average weight loss of each of the plastic. So assuming we are just looking at the weight loss, if you look at the graph, you will see that it will be decreasing. So we just checked for the percentage weight loss, average weight loss every 2 weeks. So we did not do a growth curve of the bacteria, because every 2 weeks we still renew the nutrients and also the bacteria inside our
Okay.
work.
Thank you so much, Obed. Because of time, please kindly answer the questions in the chat box. You have 2 other questions from Abdulhafiz and one other one from Emmanuel. So Victor, please, you can go ahead with your poster presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Good morning and good evening, good afternoon from wherever you're joining me from. I'll just be sharing my screen in a few seconds, just a jiffy. And so let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. Just a few seconds. So just okay, great. Okay, good, good. So, like I said, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning from wherever you're joining from all over the world. And thank you so much for the opportunity to present my poster. My name is Victor Nweze, and congratulations on your 4th-year anniversary, Biospherea community. So I'll be making a presentation of a research I conducted recently, which I'm really happy about the findings. And the topic is the study of glucometer precision and anti-malaria therapy interference on glucose readings in Nigeria. So I'll be taking you through the poster, just sections, because it's not like an in-person presentation. So, so there are several studies that have reported malaria-infected diabetic patients under anti-malaria medication in Nigeria. And like we all know, diabetic patients need the glucometer to monitor their glycemic index. So self-glucose monitoring is critical to ensure proper blood glucose regulations in patients. Unfortunately, there are studies that have reported therapeutic interferences on glucose readings, such as acetaminophen, like paracetamol, and ascorbic acid, like commonly known as vitamin C, which has caused oftentimes on reported cases false positive glucose reading or accuracies. And this has led to oftentimes misdiagnosis of the patient. However, there is a depth of scientific information on the influence of anti-malaria drugs on glucose reading accuracy. Therefore, this study aims to determine the precision of 3 different glucometers commonly used in Nigeria, and to also examine the influence of artemether lumefantrine, which is commonly used in Nigeria and has been approved by WHO, particularly for multi-drug resistant malaria, on the accuracy glucose readings. So the materials and methods, I had to adopt the method of Joe et al. And also modified and adapted it to fit this research. And the first part of the study we had to conduct is precision study to examine which among these 3 glucometers, that is AccuAnswer, VivaCheck, and Glucodeal, is precise, or will I say reliable, with good performance. The next thing was we had to also examine the interference, or if there were any influence of these anti-malaria drugs, artemether lumefantrine, on either of these glucometers, on the accuracy. And thereafter, if there was an in vitro influence in the way we wanted to understand at a molecular level, could there probably be or understand the probable interactions between these immobilized enzymes in these glucometers and the anti-malaria drugs via an in silico approach. So from our results, as we can see here, this is the precision study. And in this precision study, for what you could see, the blue bars stand for the AccuAnswer. They show to be the most precise glucometers among the other 2. This is thanks to its coefficient of variation, which is less than 5%. Now, when we say coefficient of variation less than 5%, statistically, we say that this method or this approach has a good performance. And as we can see across the normal pool and the low pool of precision study, the blue bars were below 5% of COV. This shows that among these glucometers, AccuAnswer is said to be precise. Now, going further into its interference or influence, we did the blood samples that were collected from the healthy volunteer and spiked them at various concentrations of artemether itself, first of all. And for what you could observe, there was a kind of non-significant influence in a way, but this non-significant influence in a general way among VivaCheck, AccuAnswer, and Glucodeal in the normal pool and the low pool itself showed some kind of false negative glucose reading accuracy or interference in a way. And this was also most significant. This was also, let's say, related to what we see with the influence of lumefantrine on these glucometers that showed also non-significant interference that also kind of, well, I say, false negative interference as compared to the baseline itself. So having observed this, in order to look at this in a more holistic way, in a general way, I was able to, well, I say, summarize this according to its degree of interference that artemether lumefantrine might be able, might have stronger influence or interference on viva check than glucodyl, and on glucodyl than AccuAnswer. Now, having observed these influence in an in vitro state, and we know that these glucometers have immobilized enzymes, we wanted to understand what could be the probable interaction, if there is, between these artemether and lumefantrine on the immobilized enzyme. For viva check, we have glucose oxidase FAD, and we have for glucodyl GDH, that glucose dehydrogenase FAD, and also GDH, another glucose dehydrogenase, but with a different coenzyme, which is pyrrolidinone. And with the docking study, we were able to observe something very interesting and quite profound, like it was very least expected, that indeed there was some kind of interaction, although these are quite weak binding affinities, but we could indeed observe some kind of trend here, which is similar to the in vitro analysis that was conducted. And we found out, interestingly, that indeed there was interaction, a stronger interaction of artemether lumefantrine with the immobilized enzyme glucose oxidase in viva check as compared to the other two enzymes. And interestingly, in ranking them according to their level of binding affinities, degree of binding affinity, we can again see viva check glucose oxidase greater than glucodyl and also greater than AccuAnswer. And if I'm going to minimize this in a little way, we will see that there is a kind of correlation in similarity on this ranking. Therefore, in conclusion, I would say that artemether lumefantrine indeed might have some kind of mild interference on causing some kind of false negative glucose readings accuracy. So medical and healthcare professionals, as well as health-related regulatory authorities, should implement and enact precautionary measures and policies for proper diagnosis and treatment of MID patients in order to avoid misdiagnosis in diabetic patients that have malaria. So going forward, for clinical investigation in the future, we hope to carry out some kind of more validation of this in vitro and in silico study on patients in larger population to validate this in vitro study, and to also validate the molecular interaction that was observed. I think it's important to conduct biophysical studies like SPR and maybe structural characterization like cryo-electron microscopy of artemether lumefantrine drugs and maybe other antimalarial drugs and these glucometer immobilized enzymes in order to further confirm these molecular interactions and their binding affinity. So in conclusion, I would like to say these are my references. I would like to acknowledge my supporters and collaborators and also funders of this research. And if you'd like to collaborate with me in the future, and this is my name, or you have further questions, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Victor. That was so insightful. Okay, so there's a question for you already in the chat box. From Messi. It says that, did you do the in silico studies first?
Okay, first of all, I did the in vitro study. So after I had conducted the in vitro study, this was the in silico was not even part of the proposal, but the results from the in vitro kind of sparked some curiosity that, okay, maybe there could be an interaction between the drug and the enzyme in a way, because previous studies from well-known drug interference glucometers, which are acetaminophen and vitamin C, are already known to interact with even the enzymes, just as glucose will interact with this enzyme for proper glucose readings, right? So we wanted to also have an idea if the probable way by which it might also interact. So that was where the in silico came on board, and we observed this trend. So it was, well, I say it was a eureka moment in a way. So it was not something that was planned. It was just, we tried it and we just discovered it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Victor. I hope, Mercy, I hope your question has been answered. Okay, we'll be moving ahead to the next question from Emmanuel Adediran. Because of time, we would only be able to take this second question, while you would please help us answer the rest in the chat box. So it says that, is ACU answer the same as ACU-check? And there are like 3 questions in one, but how did you recruit volunteers for the study for patients that can't take artemether lumefantrine? And the third question says, what about on-call plus glucometer?
Okay, thank you for this very interesting question. So AccuAnswer, AccuCheck, I think these are just different brands, right? So relatively, what is, I think, more common to them, or what's actually informed us, was based on the enzyme. So in a way, I think the question, I understand your question indeed. AccuCheck, AccuAnswer, they're just based on the brand. So I can't really say if they're the same, because what I would say would differentiate one glucometer from the other is based on the enzyme, the immobilized enzyme in the strips. So that is one. So how did we recruit volunteers? Well, to just one volunteer we had to recruit, and it's just someone that volunteered in the hospital to donate his blood, and we wanted to be sure it's a healthy volunteer here. It's just a healthy volunteer that had normalized blood sugar level, and of course we had to screen for that disease to be sure that this person does not have any other thing that will interfere with results. And the other things, the artemether lumefantrine, were spiked in vitro. So it was not as though the patient took the drug, and we had to take no. And that is where the proposal of the future recommendation came in, that that's where a proper clinical study will take place. So that one is a different ballgame. So someone volunteered in the hospital, and we had to screen, and he was happy to donate his blood for science. And what's about on the call plus? I don't know, but we only screened for 3 glucometers. I can only speak for the 3 glucometers. However, what makes these glucometers unique, it's primarily maybe the design of the glucometer, and also if it's the kind of enzyme that was immobilized, if there was an enzyme immobilized in the strip. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Victor. Please, you could go ahead to answer the remaining questions that you have in the chat box. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. It was so insightful, and I'm sure that everyone has learned in 1 or 4 new things today. Thank you so much. Okay, so finally, we are wrapping up. Everything that has a beginning will surely have an ending, right? So we are heading to the closing ceremony right now, right away. And thank you for staying this long. Thank you for staying with us from yesterday to this moment. Without all of us here, this 4th anniversary would never have been a success. Thank you so much for your time, for every effort put in towards the success of our anniversary. We are saying a very big thank you. So we'll be thanking some specific persons, and we'll be starting with our anniversary committee. Can we just appreciate them by giving them a very big, huge round of applause in the comment section for planning this anniversary and ensuring that it was indeed a success. Please, can we just give them a round of applause? As I mentioned their names right away. So we just want to say a very big thank you to Charity Okoleze, Clive Okonta, Nasiruddin Idowu Abdurrashid, Cordinum Adlumona. I'm very sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. Then Olaiton Owoyemi. And if you just want to do a special shout out to any one of them, and just appreciate them in the chat box. And we would also like to thank our program team. That's from Emmanuel Obanla, who is the team lead for Eastons, Alimat Chisholm Atonda, who is for camps, then Rachel Totti and Ruth Totti chaperones. I think I'm doing a special shout out to Ruth Totti. Then Chinaza Nwafo for like guesses. Thank you so much for your selfless efforts towards Biospherea. And would also like to thank the entire Biospherea volunteering teams for their cross-functional team collaborations. Thank you. Well done to every one of you. We say a very big thank you. So thank you for sticking our team. Now, the closing ceremony is still on, so please still stay tuned.
And of course, we would not be here without our founders who are the vision. So would like to say a special thank you to Welt Okete, Matthew Ikoyame, and Odolapo Olawonyi. So we'd like to say a very big thank you to you. Thank you for having this vision. Thank you for sticking with the vision, and thank you for bringing us to where we are so far. We would also like to say a very big thank you to our speakers that we've had so far. So we'd like to say a big thank you to Christopher Olowosoke, Damlola Bolanle, Dr. Kelechi, Onwukamike, Wambui, Mbichi. We'd like to say a very big thank you. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and your experience with us. And we'd also like to say a very big thank you to the poster presenters for today in person of Obed and Victor. That was some good science and some good presentation. So thank you very much. And lastly, we would like to say, well, before the last one, we'd like to say a very big thank you to the community members, those who shared the video, those who shared their lab videos, those who participated in editing the video and everything. We'd like to say a very big thank you to you. Thank you for helping us achieve what we've achieved so far. And finally, we'd like to say a very big thank you to everybody. Thank you for availing yourself. Thank you for being here with us. And thank you for helping us see this vision, and thank you for helping us celebrating our anniversary. So just a few reminders. You can always reach out to us on Gmail. You can always reach out to us on Gmail, on LinkedIn. The Gmail is teams@biospherea.com. You can always reach out to us on Twitter. X is Biosphera Africa, and on Facebook and LinkedIn, it's just Biosphera. So you can reach out to us if you have questions, inquiries about joining the group, just inquiries about like upcoming sessions and stuff. You can always reach out. And the recording for this would be available on the YouTube channel soon. So you can also look out for that. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us for the 4th year anniversary of Biosphera. Thank you very much and have a good night.